Wakanda seems like the most technologically advanced civilization in the MCU, and for the first time, its secrets and hidden details are finally on full display thanks to the new MCU tie-in book, The Wakanda Files. But what exactly does the book reveal? Well, not only does it provide interesting insights into the entire history of the MCU, like detailing how strong Captain America actually is, or whatever happened to that Stan Lee-looking man who drank the soda bottle that was infused with Bruce's blood, but also provides some tantalizing teases for Wakanda's potential future. Let's break those down right now. The Wakanda Files makes for a fascinating read for anyone who wants to know about the secrets of the MCU. And let's be honest, we all do, right? The book is both a collection of hard data and a treasure trove of fun Easter eggs and juicy tidbits that makes it a must-read for any die-hard MCU fan. Wakanda has always been at the forefront of technological advancement in the world, and they're constantly looking for new technology and new scientific breakthroughs. The reason behind such development is due in large part to Shuri, who is one of the smartest people in the MCU, if not the smartest. She's on a quest to improve Wakanda even more so, and the book is a collection of papers, articles, blueprints, and notes from major events throughout the MCU. The Wakanda Files is a way for Shuri to research the past for certain context and find new inspiration that will help not only Wakanda's future, but the future of all people. It's organized in sections like human advancement, weapons, artificial intelligence, transportation, and a lot more, ranging from things like Howard Stark's early breakthroughs all the way to quantum tunneling and nanotechnology with everything in between. But it not only gives a fun breakdown of all the major events in the MCU, it also does a great job in teasing what comes next. One section of the book is specifically about the heart-shaped herb. As you know, the herb is what gives worthy individuals access to the ancestral plane and can grant them the powers of the Black Panther. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal, which makes it all the funnier that it doesn't have a proper name. Seriously, the most advanced civilization in the world just named the herb after what shape it looked like? Did they do that with other things? Anyways, if you remember, when Killmonger became the new Black Panther, he ordered all the remaining heart-shaped herbs to be burned up, so that no one could be Black Panther after him. Now, that worked for the movie, but it does raise a question regarding the sequel and the future of Black Panther. After the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, there's a lot of talk about someone new taking over the mantle of Black Panther, but that's going to be hard to do when there are no heart-shaped herbs. Even if they don't write out T'Challa and just recast, the question is still what is going to happen in the future regarding who takes over as Black Panther when T'Challa is done wearing the mask. Well, the Wakanda Files may have an answer. As it turns out, Shuri is struggling with this very problem and has been looking for a way to solve it and bring back the heart-shaped herb, or at least bring back its abilities. She's currently looking at ways to synthesize the heart-shaped herb in different ways, and might consider using vibranium to help stabilize the experimental compound. Which makes sense, because vibranium seems like the answer to everything. Shuri mentions in the book how she can't do much until she studied a sample of the original flower, but that's hard to do since they're all destroyed. Maybe this is a hint about what Black Panther 2's main plot might be. Maybe we'll see the characters out on a quest to find another heart-shaped herb, and Shuri can then study and replicate. But the heart-shaped herb isn't the only thing that Shuri is focused on. In the Wakanda Files, Shuri also notes how fascinated she is with the extremist research that was done by Maya Hansen in Iron Man 3. If you recall, this was the major storyline for that movie, where extremists was front and center. Although in the movie, it had the nasty side effect of making people explode. Shuri sees potential in the science around the research. She likes how it can make the human brain basically like a supercomputer, and mentions how she wants to continue with the AIM project in her own special way. Could this be teasing a future appearance by the fan-favorite MODOK? It certainly sounds like it. So all in all, it sounds like some exciting things are going to come from Wakanda in the next few years. And the book also further elaborates on the Wakandan technology we've already seen as well. For example, it talks about that awesome technology displayed in Black Panther that dealt with taking control of almost any vehicle and turning it into a remote-controlled car. That's an amazing piece of tech, but there is a slight limitation to it. As it turns out, that only works on vehicles that were made in the 1970s or later, which sort of makes sense when you think about it. So if you were trying to hijack James Bond's Aston Martin from the original 60s films, you'd be out of luck, sorry. It's explanations like that make the Wakanda Files such an exciting book. Any MCU tie-in book like this one has the chance to set the stage for the future. And if you look closely at some of the other reveals from the book, it certainly looks like the MCU is using info from this book to tease some exciting things that are coming down the pipeline. As we're probably all aware at this point, the MCU is gearing up to introduce the multiverse in its future. And with a section in the book specifically dedicated to technology, it was the perfect opportunity to start planting those seeds. Take for instance the encrypted message that's in the book that was sent to Bruce Banner from Tony Stark. In the message, Tony talks about the time-space GPS and quantum mechanics, writing that, quote, altering events of the past could never affect the continuous loop, though it could create tangential split times, end quote. After that, he follows up with, quote, let's not worry about that for the time being, right? One reality at a time, for all our sanity, end quote. I think that message is jam-packed with fun info. For one, Tony and Bruce always seemed to know that their actions would create different timelines, and going back to the past would have no effect on the current timeline. This is fun because the topic of the time travel used in Endgame has caused such a fierce debate amongst the most hardcore MCU fans that this will only fuel that fire. Because of course the biggest question regarding the time travel is Captain America. Since Endgame, fans have debated whether Steve was always in this timeline somehow and just stayed hidden or branched off into a new timeline. Both came with some serious questions. If he was in our original timeline the entire time, doesn't that break the rules the movie tried to establish at the beginning? And does that mean he just sat back and let all this bad stuff happen? On the flip side, if he did branch out into a new timeline after he traveled back in time, how did he end up on that bench to give the shield to Sam? That requires a whole other explanation because it means old man Steve had to find some way to cross over to the different timelines. That would require some type of explanation, but it does seem like with the Wakanda Files, the MCU is doubling down and saying definitively that Steve was in a different timeline and then crossed over. And it's hard not to look at Tony's last sentence saying, quote, one reality at a time for all our sanity, end quote, and not chuckle a little bit. In fact, that sentence is probably going to be even funnier in the next 5 or so years, when the multiverse becomes a central part of the MCU and we all just get used to it no problem. Other things in the book that are teased include a possible Shang-Chi reference. The opening chapter about human enhancement in the book features a memo from President Ellis's office to the US Secretary of Defense, which discusses the current threat of the terrorist organization known as the Ten Rings, as well as their leader, the Mandarin. Now, obviously this memo is supposed to be framed around the events of Iron Man 3, where everyone thought the Mandarin kind of looked like that one washed-up actor named Trevor Slattery. But with news that the upcoming Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings movie will feature the real Mandarin as its main villain, this memo in the book is actually a clever way to get people back in the mood to see the Ten Rings and the Mandarin again. That's some nice corporate synergy done right. So overall, the book gives some fascinating teases for the future. But don't just think it's all future information. Other parts of the book recontextualize key events from the past. For instance, it goes into further detail about what exactly happened to Stan Lee's character in The Incredible Hulk after he drank the bottle of soda and was infused with Bruce's blood. Turns out he was treated for radiation poisoning. Now, that's not a major reveal, sure, but it also adds further context to how dangerous Bruce's blood can be. So watch out, She-Hulk. And just in case you didn't know it, Captain America's body is pretty strong. His perfect super soldier body can burn up to 8,000 calories a day just by resting and doing nothing. And it's this increased metabolism that helped save him when he took his plummet into the ice. So really, I'm surprised we haven't seen Captain America eating more food. Like, it sounds like the super soldier should always have a giant triple fudge brownie ice cream sundae in his hands. Where is that deleted scene? So all this information may seem a little arbitrary, but also keep in mind that the in-universe explanation is that this is all Shuri's notes that her team helped compile. So now, in canon, Shuri has all this information and could further use it to her advantage to increase the tech and future for Wakanda and the entire world. It makes Shuri one of the most important characters in the MCU. But come on, we knew that already, right? Have you bought the Wakanda Files yet? What did you think of its awesome new reveals? Let us know in the comments below and be sure to hit that subscribe button for more awesome MCU content like this. Thanks for watching CBR. See you next time.